Hey everyone, thanks for a good cafe time there. We're going to read a couple texts here today that will be the last couple texts we'll read in this unit before we kind of start wrapping things up for Unit 2. This text today is called My Mother Really Knew. It's a poem, and here's a little preview of it. Honolulu, Hawaii, the 1950s, a family dinner, a little boy, an angry father. The boy looks down, he stares at his food. Bedtime arrives, but he is afraid to say goodnight. It was just a simple fight on an ordinary night. But how does one small gesture, saying goodnight to his father, teach the boy about what love and family really mean? Find out. Read the poem My Mother Really Knew by Wing Tek Loom. This author, Wing Tek Loom, born in 1946, still living today. He is a Hawaiian poet who studied engineering and art, and then later went on to study divinity, something to do with spirituality, the church, that kind of stuff. Loom's writing style is very visual. He often bases his poems on imagery. He looks at a photo, he writes down what he sees. So you might look for that in some of his poems. He was born to second-generation Chinese-American parents and has spent much of his adult life learning and writing about his Chinese heritage and Chinese history. In 1973, he moved to Hong Kong and even learned Cantonese. So, interesting dude. In this poem, you'll see a couple words that you might want to know. One is coax. It is a verb. To gently persuade or encourage. You might try to coax a cat out of a tree. Eruption, you probably know that word. A sudden explosion caused by pressure that builds up over time. And nonetheless, despite what has just been said, is what that word means. You'll see that in context. I think it'll make a little bit more sense if you know what it means, despite what has just been said. We're going to have you read this to a partner. So I'm going to have you in just a second get together with one other person, and you're going to read the poem aloud 2 times, focusing on your fluency. Take turns reading. This is not a very difficult poem, I don't think, so it should be pretty easy for you to read, but you'll take turns reading. So one partner will read the whole poem first, then the other partner will read the whole poem aloud. Once you've both done that, and think about the poem as you're doing that. Make sure you're not just reading it just to read it, but actually thinking about what you're reading. You can stand up, and once everyone's standing, we'll go ahead and talk a little bit about the poem. You'll find this poem on page 93. Go ahead and get to it.